Hi everyone, welcome to the weekly Twingate office hours where we look at various security challenges and how Twingate can help you solve them. My name is Dre and I'm in for Sri today, and I am the head of growth and producer of the Emerald and Sri office hour show.
Hey everyone, my name's Emerald. I'm the head of platform innovation here at Twingate. Twingate is a remote access solution built around zero trust principles that allows you to securely access your internal resources, whether they are on-prem or in the cloud or at home, wherever, and you can do everything you want with it. And this week we're doing something very special. Our producer over here on the screen actually uses production, studio quality production stuff. And we had a use case internally with Twingate where I needed to share my desktop with a very high resolution, and we did some research, and you may experience things like Zoom and Teams just have very low quality, lots of, just difficulty basically. So I wanted a way that I could stream my desktop at very high fidelity straight into Dre's desktop. The issue is we are a remote first workforce here at Twingate, like a lot of our customers and a lot of the world right now. And so Dre is at home somewhere in California and I am at home somewhere near London. So how do we connect these two networks together? Well, we found a protocol called SRT, which is a broadcast quality transmission protocol for transmitting video and audio streams. And Dre's production software can receive that input. The question is, how do I send it? And that's where we had an issue because Dre being at home, he's behind the NAT gateway, his IP address is always changing, and he doesn't really want to open up firewall ports because that can lead to all manner of potential security issues. So we thought this would be a perfect use case to try out Twingate, and it turns out that it's pretty effective. So I was wondering, Dre, if you're ready to get set up. So by the end of today's video, the goal is I should be able to stream my desktop via SRT to Dre, who's several thousand miles away.
Love it, love it. Emerald, I'm so excited for this episode because I want to make sure and see how secure this is. You know, I'm not that technical. I don't know how to open up my ports, and you're going to show us how to do it without opening up ports internally.
So you've got your Twingate admin panel open. Anyone can sign up for this. It is totally free. How long did it take you, Dre?
Maybe like 1 minute or less.
Okay, cool. A good time, yeah. You're not too slow. So we'll just do add a remote network. We're going to define your home network. So if you do add, that blue button on the right over there, and location, we can choose in the drop down. There should be an option for other.
Okay.
Or on-prem, you can pick anything. And here, let's give it a cool name, Dre's Production House, whatever you're great with. And this is great if you're a studio or you're more complicated setup, you have multiple target locations, you can set them all up in Twingate, access them via the same client, and you can do fine-grained permissions on them. So it's pretty cool. We defined two connectors. We have to deploy these connectors. So this is the only technical bit of the whole exercise. So if you click on one of those connectors, and I will talk you through how to deploy it. So you can just click on Deploy Connector. If you're more technical, you're familiar with Docker, Linux, etc., you can follow any of these guides. But today we're actually going to be doing just a manual deployment. I'm going to talk you through it step by step. Dre, I think you have Windows 11 or Windows 10 Home Edition, is it?
Windows Home 10 edition.
Yeah, Windows Home 10. So we do have like a chocolatey package, which we covered a few weeks ago, but that only works on Windows 10 Pro and above, and same with Windows 11. So what are we going to do? We're actually going to make this work with Windows 10 Pro and the basic edition, the home edition that you've got. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, first of all, we're going to need a piece of software called VirtualBox. So if you just Google for VirtualBox in a new tab maybe, that's the one. And you can just click download. That's the one. And the link for Windows is at the top there. That's it, I think.
Windows host, okay.
And once that's downloaded, you can run it. So let's just talk about what this is. VirtualBox is a hypervisor. It lets you run things like Linux VMs on your Windows machine. If you have Windows 10 Pro or Windows 11 Pro, you don't need this because those Windows versions have their own built-in hypervisor, so you can save this step. But we're just going to do this for the Windows 10 home users. And once that's installed, it will take maybe a couple of minutes. It may ask you to reboot. In case it does, we'll just wait for you here.
Okay. So why? Okay.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's done. If you're doing this, if you're following along, it does ask you to reboot. Please do reboot because it needs to load various system things that only happens on a reboot. If you then go to the website called multipass.run, and what this will do is set up a virtual machine really easily that will allow us to run our Twingate connector on your machine. So if you're using OBS on Mac or Linux, it's going to be just the same exercise here. You wouldn't need necessarily a VirtualBox, but if you just click on the Windows instructions and you just download it and run the installer. So this is a one-time setup, Dre. You're not going to have to do this before every production.
All right. Cool.
All right, excellent. So we're going to need we just need to grab a piece of information from your machine, which is your IP address. So there's various ways to get that. If you have the network icon on the bottom right of your system tray, you should be able to get it from there. So yeah, here you can type in network in the search, and you can do network status. It's the first option. Properties. So on the right there where it says properties. And let me just squint a little bit. IPv4 address. So what is that? 10.0.0.114, is that it?
Yes.
So that is the IP address of your machine on your private network. No one can access this from outside your network. It's private to your network, but we'll need it to put it into our connector. I'll show you why in a moment. But if you just right-click and copy that, and if you then right-click on your Windows icon on the bottom right of your machine, and we're going to open up a PowerShell terminal. So if you do Windows PowerShell, it's just to do an admin terminal for now. And it will ask you to give some permission. So you say yes. And once that terminal window is up, excellent. So if you do multipass space shell, and hit return, and this will download the latest version of Ubuntu Linux, or not the latest, but the latest stable, say. It will take maybe a couple of minutes for it to get it, and it will run it in Oracle VBox and take you into a shell, and then we can actually deploy the Twingate connector. So whilst that's doing its thing, if you go back to the Twingate admin console that we had at the start of this show, and if you click on Linux for your deployment option, so that's the fourth one along, and you scroll down, and you click on the red button that says generate tokens, or the blue button, it will ask you to just authenticate one more time. Okay, and at the bottom there, at the very bottom of the screen, there should be a copy command. If you go right to the bottom, yeah, so you just do copy there. You can just click the button. Okay, and we go back to the Windows terminal that we opened, the PowerShell terminal. Okay, I'm just waiting for this to complete. So I was reading about the SRT protocol and its history and stuff. It's very interesting. But what's really interesting is they're proposing to tunnel it over QUIC. And the QUIC is the new protocol for highly reliable internet transmission, and it's going to be used in HTTP3. But there are advantages to tunneling SRT, this protocol, over that. And that's actually what's going to happen when we do Twingate, because Twingate under the hood uses the QUIC protocol for data plane. So you've got your Linux shell here now. All you need to do is right click to paste the command that we just copied, hit return, and this is going to set up the Twingate connector on this VM and basically allow us to start defining resources, i.e. your VMIX target. Okay, that's Twingate is set up now. If you just flip back to that window behind you, scroll to the top, we just want to see a couple of green lights to confirm that Twingate is running. That's it. So that connector was able to dial back to Twingate, register itself, and tell us that it's now online. So we're good to get going now. What we need to do is we need to, ideally, I presume you don't want to give people 10.0.0.114. You want to give them something a bit cooler to connect to, right? So I'm going to show you very like a quick and easy way to do that. So if you go back to the Windows terminal, how are you with the command line?
I'm not that.
I will talk you through it. I promise you this is going to be really easy. So
Okay.
if you type in the word sudo, sudo, space, nano, that's nano, space, slash, that's a forward slash, etc, forward slash, hosts, HOSTS, and hit return. By the way, if people are just randomly asking you to start typing stuff into terminals, you should not do that. So I'm going to explain what we're doing. The Linux VM is going to use this file to basically map IP address to hostname, or actually map host names to IP addresses, right? And when we don't have a DNS server running, which might be a bit overkill for this situation, this is a quick way to add a friendly name and link it to 10.0.0.114. So if you use your arrow keys to navigate down to the last line of this file, and then you type in, you might need to go to the end because we need it to start on a new line. So if you go to the end of this line and then hit return, cool. And then you can type in 10.0.0.114, space, and then here we can give it like a host name. So let's call it, I don't know, vmix.dre.production. Okay, and if you hit return one more time, just leave a nice new line at the end there. And what you want to do is you want to hit Control X to exit from this editor. And then it will ask you if you want to save. So you hit Y to confirm that's for yes. And then you give it a name. So we'll leave the name as it is. You just hit return. Okay. That should be it for all of the technical gubbins. And now it gets quite easier. If we go back to the Twingate admin console, if you click on Dre's production house, that's in the breadcrumbs at the top there, we need to define a resource because unlike VPNs, once you connect to Twingate, you don't have access to anything. You actually have to define all the individual things you have to allow access to, which makes everything a lot more secure than, say, a VPN and a lot less cumbersome to use. So let's do add resource and give it a label, VMIX Dre's home. And you can give it a DNS address. here actually you can type in vmix.dre.production. So that's the friendly label we gave it.
And if
And
we didn't give the friendly label, we would have to put our IP address in there, right?
exactly. Okay. And port restrictions, let's put a port restriction because by default, people will be able to access any port. And if you're running remote desktop or stuff, you probably don't want them to do that sort of thing. So we'll restrict TCP traffic to port, say, 5000. And we'll restrict UDP traffic as well to the same port. And if you scroll to the bottom and you just hit add resource, we can leave it ICMP. I think that's fine. Here you can define who has access. So I think you've already created prior to this video a group for VMIX guests. So we'll just select the VMIX guests group and you hit add group. Okay. Now you need to basically invite your VMIX users to your network. So if you click on the Teams tab, oh, I see you've already invited me. You can invite me with my other email address if you like. Invite user emerald@emerald.com.
Nice domain.
So whenever you have yeah, thank you, man. Whenever you have a guest that you want to invite to the show, you just invite them like this. This is the only thing you have to do, and then you have to go to the groups. And if you go to the groups tab now, you can click on VMix guests and users, and add user. You can add my other user. Okay. And once you're done with a guest, once they've finished presenting, you can take them off. They'll be instantly deprovisioned. When I say instantly, within about a few seconds.
So they can access my computer and they won't randomly show up in other productions.
No Zoom bombing for you.
Love it.
Okay, so right this minute, what you're going to have to do is set up your SRT listener. So I think this is over to your technical wheelhouse.
All right, let's go back to my VMix setup here. All right, so we're back on our VMix production here. So I want to go ahead and add an input, an SRT input, and we want to add a listener. And the port that we created in Twingate was 5000. And then latency, we want to keep this at default for now. And go ahead and add this. Okay, Emerald, so we just added the inputs, SRT 5000. And from your end, how would I get to see that in my VMix production?
Cool. So let me share my screen.
So now we are viewing your computer.
Yes. So on my computer, what I've done is I've downloaded the Twingate client software from twingate.com. You can get it from get.twingate.com. It's available on every major platform. And once it's online, I just need to click on and click login. It will ask me to log into the Dre remote network. If it doesn't know that I'm on Dre, it will ask me to type in the network. So you need to give your audience presenters this name so they can type it in. And then I can log in with any of these providers that can verify that I am emerald@emerald.com. So I'll choose Google, and I'll choose my emerald@emerald.com Google account. Just enter my password. And that's it. I am now on Twingate. So I can close this, and I can verify that I'm online by right-clicking, and I can see that I have access to one resource, vmix.dre.production. So I'll just copy this address. And I'm using OBS, so I'm just going to open up OBS.
So you are creating a OBS connection into my VMix production. Is that right?
Exactly. The idea is I want to stream this very specific desktop to your VMix. So I'm going to go into File, Settings, stream, and in my SRT server, I'm just going to put in I'm going to choose services custom, and server will be SRT / VMIX.Dre.production :5000. Okay. I'm going to hit apply. And that instantly looks a lot more professional than sending IP addresses and things like that. And once that's done, I suppose if I do start streaming, we can see that I'm streaming at 60 frames a second. I'm sending almost 7 megabits a second, tunneled over Twingate via direct peer-to-peer connection to your server. So I'm hoping when we flip back to you, you can see my desktop in some quite detail.
Yes, I can. Let me bring us back in. So I'm back on the VMIX production. Above me is your actual VMIX connection, but to the left of the screen, we see your desktop, which is the SRT 5000 connection.
Mm-hmm.
And are you able to show your face on the SRT 5000 connection?
Let's give it a go.
Wow, look at how clear and sharp you are.
This is amazing.
As you notice, there was a little lag there. So Elmo's talking to me through my VMIX production, which is a direct connection. But here on the secure network, thousands of miles away, look at the picture quality. There's about half a second, 1 second delay.
That is the price you'll pay with SRT, especially over a large distance. But I think for a lot of professionals, the lag is worth it for the quality that you get and the kind of broadcast you'll be able to do with this.
Yes, and for those that don't know, this is something that you would do, like what big media productions do. You understand that there is a lag, so you pause every time you talk, and for the person to understand what you're saying and for them to give their response. Let's go ahead and bring you back on here. Let's go ahead and, if you could hop back on. All right, welcome back, Admiral. So that was awesome. I mean, we saw this. I know we had problems before on trying to share your screen and how it was laggy when we were doing on VMIX. And this is a great way to have a high quality production and bringing in another input on your end, thousands of miles away. I mean, so why is it important to even use SRT?
Well, there's a lot of protocols, but SRT stands out as being one that's open source or very open as a standard, and it's supported by broadcasters. So I think every blogger is trying to get a high quality production, and SRT stands out because you're using what studios we use.
So what about like other media broadcasters like in the cloud?
I mean, they can expose their SRT gateways if they want, but at Twingate, we very much advise against having exposed gateways of any kind because they're front doors that people can come knock on, and hackers can always figure out ways to cause problems. So by hiding it behind Twingate, you have a much higher level of security, and you can ensure that only those people that should be transmitting to you are able to, and from the devices that you can sort of control from your end.
Love it. So how about, we did a VMIX from OBS. Can we do like the other way around? Would I be able to do this on, like I say, VMIX onto your OBS stream?
Yeah, absolutely. So I could install the connector on my end and do the exact opposite and allow you to tunnel into my setup, and we can back and forth like that as much as we want.
Love it. I can see all the endless possibilities with a secure connection.
Oh yeah, then this will work over mobile. So if you've got people transmitting, that are perhaps not in locations around the world where internet connectivity is particularly reliable, then Twingate can help there too because it will mask the connection.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Ermal. That was a great demo. I mean, I can't wait to implement it more and show other people how to do that and have them have a secure connection. This is very, very important for content creators, so even for myself and for others. I hope they find it valuable.
Thank you, Dre. Thank you very much.